Hi there, this is Christina Bolt, a breakthrough coach for spiritual and ambitious women entrepreneurs, helping them bust through their inner blocks and limits and unlock their creative power so that they can manifest an abundant, purposeful, and fun business and life. Today, I want to share with you a free training on how to release your resistance and manifest your dream life with more ease and less effort. This was a free training that I offered in my private online community, and due to its success there, I want to share it with you also. So, I hope you'll enjoy it. I will be speaking today about how to release this resistance, how to get to the cause, to the root of all evil, what is behind, how to identify what is behind your resistance, and also how to pass from resistance to surrendering to a more empowered way of seeing things, of deciding to perceive things in your life and to go after the things that you want so that you can manifest with much more ease, much more rapidly, and really with much more joy, to really enjoy the process, to really enjoy the life, because life is a unique journey that needs to be lived with full joy, with full passion, with full enthusiasm. And when some of these ingredients just miss from your life, from our lives, it means that there is something wrong in there, that there is a resistance that is keeping us from fully living and enjoying our potential. So before we start, and while we are still waiting for people to hop on, I will be telling you how I see the resistance. And in fact, what is the impact of the resistance on our lives? So imagine that you have a cork bobbing on the surface of a water. And this cork naturally is always floating, right? That's its nature, to be floating. But when you are pushing it under the water, you create a pressure and the cork gets under the water. But the moment you release that pressure that you put on the cork comes up again and starts again bobbing on the surface. So that's exactly what happens with our vibe. That's exactly what happens when we release resistance. That resistance that is keeping us under the water, drowning and feeling overwhelmed and stuck, it's exactly the pressure that we are putting on ourselves. And that once that is released, will just let and allow us to come to our natural high vibe, to our natural way of being in a floating in a floating state, in the flow, as I like to say. So without further ado, because I do honor your time and I'm trying to make this training as short as possible, I will be diving right into the topic of our training today. Whenever you are coming and are hopping on, please say hi so that I know that you can hear me, that everything is great. And I also always enjoy people saying hi. So let's speak about resistance. As I said, that pressure that we are putting ourselves, and that is actually blocking our manifestation, is blocking our potential and our capacity to fully enjoy and create our lives. And today we will be speaking basically about three main topics, three main concepts, and it's the main one, and one of the main ones is resistance. As I said, that's that pressure that we are putting on ourselves, and it keeps us blocked, overwhelmed, stuck in situations that we don't like, in relationships that we don't like. Then it's fear Fear is usually the cause of the resistance. Why are we resistant? Because we fear something. So fear is that assumption that we are making that things will go wrong in a way or another. And during our conversation today, during our training today, I will invite you and I will show you ways to transform your fear into faith. Because faith means the absence of resistance and means the knowing that we are living in a loving, friendly universe that always has our back, and that things, no matter what, will always turn out to be in a great way for us, will be wonderful. So how do we deal with resistance? First of all, I want to tell you that there are different types of resistance, and some types are good, resisting temptations, resisting bad things in our lives, and that's great when the resistance is in that sense, in that direction. But usually the resistance is a bad thing. And how do we then identify that if a resistance is good or bad? Is by looking at the results. What does our resistance cause in our life? If it causes a feeling of being stuck, of being overwhelmed, of not going forward with our life, with our plans, with our experiences, then that is a bad resistance. And I will be sharing with you today a few steps, very simple, very clear, that you can use in order to release that resistance from your life. So, step number 1, the first and most important step, is to acknowledge resistance, to ditch denial. Like, no, I'm not resisting to have that conversation. I'm not resisting to have that change. I'm not resisting to get out of my comfort zone. No. The first step is to be really true to yourself and honest with the situation, and to acknowledge for yourself where you are standing. So, as I said, resistance can have different shapes and forms. It can be resistance regarding a relationship, and then we will be always sabotaging, pushing away that relationship. It can be the resistance to a feeling, and then our tendency will be always to cover up the feeling and pretend that it's not there, and basically think that if we don't give it attention, will disappear. But obviously it's not a real thing. It's not something that actually happens in reality. Or it can be resistance to a change, and when we are resistant to a change, what happens is that we will be postponing the change. We will be delaying to take decisions and to take the steps in order to turn that change into reality. So I want you to, I am inviting you to assess where you are resistant in your life, where you are delaying, where you are postponing, and where you are self-sabotaging yourself. Because in the end, a resistance, it's a self-sabotaging behavior. We are resisting things for a very false reward. We resist things out of fear, obviously, thinking that if we resist them, if we don't rock the boat, if we don't make too much fuss around, if we are keeping things calm and quiet, then we will stay safe. But that's really a false impression. It's a false reward, because on the long term, the price that we are paying is very high. It's a very high price to stay stuck in situations, in relationships, in circumstances, in the same way for 3, 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. And then notice that life just passed by, and you lost opportunities, and you lost your chance to live, really. So this would be the first step, to really be honest with yourself and to identify where you are resistant and how this resistance manifests in your life. Then the next step to release resistance is to go a little bit deeper and to identify and to list the sources of this resistance. As I said, usually the base, the foundation, the root of the resistance is a fear. And the fear comes from different limiting beliefs, negative beliefs, old stories that we've kind of caught from here or there in our life, and we are carrying as a heavy luggage with us. So for the step number 2, I invite you to make a list of all the negative beliefs, all the old stories, all the limits that you are experiencing when you are thinking about why you can't do things, why you can't get things, why that would not work for you, obviously what you want. Why the things that you want, your goals, are not achievable for you, why you cannot make them work for you. So make a list of all these programs, of all these limits, all these old stories, all these limiting beliefs. And when you have this list, there are 2 things that you can do about it in order to clear this negativity. First of all, you can start questioning all these programs, all these negative beliefs, one by one, and ask yourself, is this really true? Is this really certainty? We have these beliefs that we can't sell, or that we can't make money, or that it's hard to make money, or that it's hard to get a true love in your life. So when we identify this list of negative beliefs, of limiting beliefs about why we can't get what we want, we will start the first step to question one by one all these beliefs, to see if we really can find reasons for that belief to be true. And I guarantee you that 99% of the cases, the answer to the questions, is it true and is this really a certainty, is no. It's just a way of disproving, these beliefs, questioning them. Then the second step to clearing, to releasing the negative beliefs, the negative programs, is to really disprove them in a very practical and concrete way. Like, do something that you would not normally do. Get out from that, push the limits of the identity that you created for yourself. Push the limits of what you think that it's possible for yourself. So if you think that you are not a good speaker, for instance, and you can't speak in public, do something crazy, like, I don't know, go on a stage, even if it's only for doing some karaoke, or start making Facebook lives. Or if you think you cannot write, or your writing is not great, just start writing. If you think that you can't dance, go out once and dance. So do things that are pushing your limits, are challenging the ideas that you had about who you are and what you are capable to do. So that would be step number 2, to make a list of all the negative beliefs, all stories that you are telling to yourself that are the reasons of not being able to achieve what you want to achieve. Then the step number 3, and this is a step that will motivate you to go through with the process, to follow through with the process, is to make a list of all the costs that you are paying for staying in your position of resistance. What are the costs of not making the change that you want to make, of not having the conversation that you want to have, of not getting out from the relationship or clearing the relationship that you want to clear or to heal. So think about which are all these costs of doing nothing, just being resistant, over the next months, over the next years. And usually this will give you a measure of the importance and the motivation to follow through with releasing the resistance. And finally, the last step in releasing resistance is to pass from resistance to surrendering. And how on earth do we do that? Well, the first step here is to surrender to resistance. And when I say surrender, I refer to the fact of accepting it, owning it, and looking at it in a non-judgmental way. So when you are judging yourself for being resisting, I don't know, to be more visible, to start a diet, to have a conversation, you name it. When you are judgmental about yourself and about your resistance, then that resistance is growing. So the first step here in releasing resistance is to, and passing from resistance to surrendering, is to accept the truth of who you are in that moment, of the truth of being in that resistance, but without judging it. Just own who you are in that moment. Own your behavior for that stage in your life. And the second step for migrating completely towards surrendering is to trust the universe, to trust the fact that you are living in a friendly, in a loving universe that always has your back, that always is there to respond to your desires, to your requests. And the only thing between you and your wanted results, it's always and only your resistance. So once you acknowledge this, and once you have true and deep belief in the universe, you made the full transition for being from being in a state of resistance to being in a state of surrendering. And here I want you to acknowledge something and to understand it deeply in all your cells. Surrendering it's not about giving up, or it's not about thinking that you don't have control. It's about trusting. It's about faith. And as I said in the beginning of this training, the difference between fear and faith is that fear means an assumption that things will go wrong, while faith is the knowing that things will always get in a correct way, will always get in a wonderful way, and things will play out to your benefit. Once you own that knowing, your life will change. Everything will change, because you will know that you have the power. You have the power and control over creating things in your life, and you have the power of receiving basically what the universe always is providing for you. So those were the most important steps that you can take in order to release resistance and to invite more ease in your life by surrendering and trusting the process and trusting the universe. Now I only have one more trick that I want to share with you, and it's related to how can we clear our fear, or not even clear, to take the power from our fear, to break free from our fear. Well, it's really a simple process. It's a coaching technique that I want to share with you because I think that it's really empowering. So many times we are not doing things, we are resisting to things because we have these millions of different kinds of fears. We are thinking about the worst case scenarios that might happen without even sometimes defining what is that scenario. In fact, we just know that something bad will happen. And because we think that something bad might happen, we are giving up on really doing things, and we are giving up on our dreams in the end. So an easy way to take the power off from your fear is to take the fear all the way down and to see what's in fact the worst case scenario that can happen. So let's imagine that I have this fear, which I've experienced. It's something that comes from my experience. I had this fear of exposing myself and expressing myself through Facebook Lives, because I have this idea that not being a native English speaker is something bad and puts me in a vulnerable position. So it's something that it's not common for all of you, but for sure the fear of going out live in Facebook Lives, it's a common fear. So let's take this fear as an example, and the technique is applied in the following way. You take the fear and think, okay, and I have this fear. I am afraid of going out on and making Facebook Lives. So why am I afraid of that? And then the answer will be because I'm afraid not to make a fool of myself. And what happens if I make a fool of myself is the next question. Well, people will judge me, and I will feel judged by other people. And then you ask again, so what will happen when people are judging me? And the response probably will be, I will feel diminished, I will feel without value. And then you can ask the same question, so what happens when you feel diminished and without value? I will just be, I don't know, I will feel bad. It's probably a possible answer. And then you ask again, so what happens when you feel bad? And then you realize when you feel bad, you just feel bad, and there's nothing really horrible, terrible that can happen, because in the end of the day there is no cataclysm. The world is not ending, the building is not collapsing. So the worst case scenario most of the times is nothing really painful or something that really is tragic for your life. So when you get there to that acknowledgement that, okay, I will just feel bad, and anyway, I'm feeling bad now, not doing the things that I want to do and not reaching my potential. So when you realize all these things, and when you realize that at the end of the day you'll always have yourself and your resources and your potential, then the fear doesn't go away, but you take the power off from the fear. So it's a way for breaking free from the power that the fear has over you, and going with more confidence after what you want, going and chasing your dreams. So these were the tips and tricks that I wanted to share with you today about resistance, about fears, and about how we can keep our vibe up and manifest in a more rapid way with more ease. Because as you know, manifesting is really powered by your vibration. And once your vibration is up, your manifesting power is really unleashed. So once you take the pressure of the resistance over all your potential and all your vibe naturally goes up, like the cork that is getting up from the water after you take out the pressure from it. So in that moment, your vibe is up, your manifestation speeds up, and your results get to life in a much more rapid, much stronger, and much more visible way. Okay, these were the facts that I wanted to share with you. The technique of releasing your resistance, the 4 steps that I've just shared with you, and also the trick about how to break free from the power of your fear over you. Should you have any questions, please share them. If you catch the replay, please share your question the same below the video, so that I can see them and I will answer after the end of the training. And if you feel blocked, if you feel stuck, if you feel blocked, if you feel stuck or overwhelmed, and you need some help in order to bust through your inner limits, through your old stories, through your self-sabotaging behaviors, through all the resistance that you are experiencing, and if you want help to unleash that creative power within you and manifest with more ease and more rapidly a more abundant, purposeful, and fun life, I'm here to help. And I want to offer you a free breakthrough session with me, 30 minutes of you and me together, assessing exactly how you can get unstuck and how you can keep yourself more energized, more focused, more aligned to your purpose and to your desires, so that you can reach your potential, you can create the financial freedom and abundance